This is Web3 Tuesday. And as usual, we will have a discussion of about 20 minutes and then some Q&A. And today we have a very interesting topic, which is NFTs and MiCA, which sounds like an easy answer because MiCA should be quite straightforward in excluding non-fungible tokens from its scope of application. But we know that it's actually not entirely like that. And we are fortunate enough to have Elvin Sababi today. He's a Swedish lawyer with an LLM from Uppsala University in Sweden. He has also completed legal studies at the University of Sydney, Australia. He likes to travel a lot, and that was also for his studies. Elvin started his legal career working with corporate transactions M&A at one of Sweden's top law firms, before joining and becoming a junior partner already at this young age at Nordic Legal, and later creating First Block, a Web3 agency we're all very curious to know a little more about. Elvin is working in the cross field between Web3, compliance, commercial, and gambling law. He has vast knowledge in the area of blockchain technology and also the underlying technical aspects behind the technology. That's very useful and I think very important for any Web3 lawyer to have some background knowledge of the functioning of this technology. And of course, about the challenges imposed from a regulatory and licensing perspective. He's an avid speaker at NFT conferences, sharing his insights about the legal landscape surrounding NFTs. And we are here to enjoy some of that knowledge and that he will share with us today. So without any further ado, Elvin, the floor is all yours. For everyone else, sorry, I forgot the housekeeping matters. The session is recorded. It will be available on our YouTube channel, also for everyone who didn't have the time to participate. If you have a problem with the recording, just turn off the camera. And if you have questions, just write them in the chat or unmute yourself and ask them directly to Elvin, either during the presentation or at the end, as per your preference. Elvin, now it's for real, all yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Filippo. And I assume then everyone can see my presentation as well now. So yeah, my name is Elvin Sababi. I'm a crypto lawyer. I got into crypto in 2016, initially to make money off of crypto, but somewhere along the line fell in love with the technology. And I graduated law school in January 2019, and I wrote my master thesis about the 5th Anti-Money Laundering Directive, which was at the time the first step to regulate cryptocurrencies, or virtual as they were called in the directive. Started working at Sweden's biggest law firm doing M&A before I pivoted into a boutique law firm that is actually specialized in gambling. And the reason for this was I thought there were clear synergies between gambling and crypto from a regulatory aspect and compliance aspect. So obviously both have a reputation of being money laundering heavy. Gambling had recently been regulated and undergone a licensing scheme here in Sweden. And similarly, that's where I believed crypto was heading. And then I created also First Block, which is a full service Web3 agency where besides law, we also have in-house developers, marketing experts, etc. And as a crypto user, I would say I'm a very active crypto user. I trade almost on a weekly basis. I was part of DeFi Summer, the NFT bull market, and I still trade NFTs. I still provide liquidity to different protocols. I airdrop farm. So I'm a very hands-on crypto user. I like to press buttons and not only be theoretical about my crypto knowledge. Currently, I work with a lot of Swedish CASPs and startups. And obviously, We have some international DeFi and NFT projects as well. But yeah, Sweden has previously been a fintech scene and is now slowly transitioning into crypto as well. And as most crypto lawyers, my focus right now is MiCA, the Market in Crypto Assets Regulation. So yeah, that's what I do, I would say, on a day-to-day basis. And today's topic is MiCA and NFTs. And why I think it's an interesting topic, and especially for, or not only especially for lawyers, but I mean, it should be an interesting topic for everyone within the NFT space. And there are some unfortunate misconceptions about the interplay between MiCA and NFTs. And this misconception makes sense when you look at the regulation itself, because it follows from Article 2, Section 3, that this regulation does not apply to crypto assets that are unique and not fungible with other crypto assets. And at a first glance, and I'm sure you have seen this on LinkedIn or heard other speakers say that, oh, but yeah, NFTs are excluded from MiCA. But the devil's in the details. And if you read the recital, it's quite clear that although unique and non-fungible assets are excluded, the definition of a unique and non-fungible asset is much different compared to what the industry considers a unique and not fungible asset. So let's look at what the recital says about unique and non-fungible assets. So according to the recital, digital art and collectibles, they are considered unique and non-fungible assets. So what is digital art? Well, let's say I'm an artist. I draw a original art piece, and then I use an NFT token, ERC721 token, to mint it as an NFT. Then that will probably be considered a sufficiently unique and non-fungible crypto asset, which is excluded from the scope. Similarly, in the recital, they mention services or physical assets that are represented via crypto assets. So for instance, product guarantees or real estate. These are specific mentions in the recital. Those are also considered unique and non-fungible crypto assets. So how to determine what is unique and non-fungible lies in the intrinsic value that is attached to the asset's unique characteristics or the utility it gives. And the reason for this is, of course, many reasons. MiCA is a consumer protection regulation to some extent, but also due to the financial ecosystem that might surround these assets, right? I mean, maybe there are degens that would flip product guarantees, but most likely not, right? The financial opportunity here is considered somewhat limited. The assets are likely to be less liquid. Similar with digital art. I mean, a collector is most likely, I should say, will buy the art and then collect it for a while, but they won't buy an art piece and sell it every day and then rebuy it. And even if they wanted to, there's only one piece. So the financial opportunity here is considered limited as well. And I think this is something we should keep in mind when we move forward and start thinking about what crypto assets might not be unique and instead be fungible. So what does the recital say about fungibility then? Fractional parts of a unique and non-fungible crypto assets are considered fungible, or likely to be at least. So what does that mean? Let's go back to this initial example where we have an artist that draws up an original art piece and mints it on an NFT. Now, let's say I purchased that NFT. I own this art piece. I own the NFT. And then I decide And let's say this is a very expensive NFT, for example. Let's say it's a Picasso, and I own the tokenized version of that Picasso. Then let's say I decide to fractionalize my Picasso. So I myself also mint 10,000 NFTs of this Picasso, where each piece in my collection represents 0.001% of the original NFT. Now my fractionalized creation is will most likely be considered fungible. It will not be a unique and non-fungible crypto asset according to MiCA. And to some extent, this makes sense, right? I have just took one piece and then fractionalized it. Even if I used ERC-721 tokens to do it, it's still, according to MiCA, this is not unique or fungible. The asset represented is not unique and fungible. Then what else? Tokens that are issued in a large series or collection. These series or collections, they indicate fungibility. So the more NFTs you have in a series, the bigger it is, the more likely it is that the series as a whole will be considered fungible. The last, and I think this is probably the most interesting part of the recital where they discuss fungibility, is that even if you, for instance, have a non-fungible asset, but then start applying features, you link benefits to these assets, that could make them fungible or not unique. So how could this look in practice? Well, once again, if we go back to the artist that does digital art, and instead of doing one piece, let's imagine that this artist does 100 pieces. 100 pieces of unique art, and then uses NFTs to mint these into a series. At this stage, I would still argue that all of these tokens are sufficiently unique. The series as a whole they are probably sufficiently not fungible. However, what happens if this artist starts applying financial rights to the holders that own the NFTs? Let's say everyone that owns an NFT in this series will automatically receive 1% of the royalties that the series generates. And besides that, let's say the artist also attached governance rights to the tokens. So if you own the NFT, you can vote on the artist's next art project or theme. Also, you get benefits. You get access to their art shop in New York. You can come to their events. You will be invited and have exclusive access to all future collections. Now, all of a sudden, we have went from digital art or digital collectibles and then attached all sorts of rights, where these rights, they don't care about the digital art or the value that is connected to the art, but rather about, the series as a whole, and they don't make any difference. I would say that in this scenario, it is likely that the series will be considered not fungible because the intrinsic value, once again, is not attached to the digital art piece, but rather all these other elements we have included, the features, the benefits. And those features or benefits, they are treated the same for all the tokens within that series. So what conclusions can we draw from the recital and how we should look at fungibility when it comes to NFTs? The first one is assets or rights represented should also be unique and non-fungible. The technical standard does not matter. I think it's quite clear. So even if you mint an ERC-721 or ERC-1155 and the industry to some point says this is a non-fungible token, this is not how the regulator will review it. Or at least this is not what MiCA says how they should review it. Instead, you should apply a substance over form to determine fungibility and uniqueness. So that's how we determine what is unique and non-fungible. And now I think it makes sense to apply what MiCA says to the current NFT landscape to see how will this affect the landscape. Where are we right now? Will no token be a crypto asset subject to, or will no NFT series or collection be subject to MiCA, or will all of them? So to do that,
Elvin.
Yes.
Elvin, sorry, can I jump in with a very quick question? Do you think that the fact that the sort of definition of what's unique and fungible is in a recital rather than in an actual article, do you think that that will have an impact in the way that the regulation is interpreted, and could that be challenged in the application? As in, I mean, the recital is not the body of the regulation. It should have a different value in terms of how different weight in terms of so is that something to take into account, or you think it's actually fine?
I think no. Unfortunately, I feel like they created an enormous backdoor here, because I am sure that all authorities in each member state, when they go to interpret these rules, they will look at the recitals, sort of like the preparatory work to an act, and see what is the intention, how should we interpret this. And similarly, when guidance is to be followed from ESMA, for example, on how to interpret this, I think that those authorities will also look at what does the recital say, and then try to apply that or use that as a basis. I hope I am wrong, and I agree that the recital should only be a recital to some extent, but the regulation should be what we use. But based on at least what I have seen from other areas, the people, when they interpret the regulations, tend to fall back on the recital, and then the recital almost becomes the word of the law.
Thanks.
So yeah, unfortunately, sorry to be a bit pessimistic, but yeah, I hope I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, as long as it's applied consistently, because it's, otherwise we create more uncertainty where we're trying to bring some clarity. We could have taught maybe better. I mean, it's easier said than done, but yeah, definitely in terms of drafting, it's a bit of a problem. But sorry for the interruption.
No, and I appreciate the question. It's a great question. So I think now let's go back and let's look at the current market standards. How is the NFT space in general structured, right? And to do this, I think it makes sense to look at the most high value NFTs, the so-called blue chips, the ones that most of us know. And there's a clear theme when it comes to these NFTs, and it's that they're all launched in series of 1,000 to 10,000. That is quite common. If you go to Blur or OpenSea, which are the primary trading places for NFTs, the biggest or most traded collections tend to be within the 10,000 category. Also, I think it makes sense for this exercise to focus on the Bored Ape Yacht Club. I'm sure everyone here has heard of them. It's the most grossed NFT project out there, currently at least. And it is a 10,000 collection consisting of 100 potential attributes in the art. So the tokens have 170 potential attributes, and then the artwork is generated. And the collection is owned by Yuga Labs. And why I'm specifically using the Bored Ape Yacht Club as an example is because they are arguably the most successful NFT collection and also sort of set the standard, and most NFT projects that followed have to a large extent copied their playbook. So I think let's look at the Bored Ape Yacht Club and then we can draw conclusions later on. So as I mentioned, the size of the series is 10,000, right? There are 10,000 NFT tokens within the series. And as we discussed previously, this is a clear indication of fungibility. Besides fungibility, what could we look at? On the opposite side, we have art, right? Digital art indicates uniqueness. These are two NFTs in the Bored Ape Yacht Club. The numbers are down below, so it's number 4336 and 5390. Now, the sole difference between these two, it's the fur color and the hat. So they have two differences, but they share background color, they share eyes, they share mouth, they share ear and shirt. So they have more similarities than differences. What other attributes can we look at when we determine uniqueness and fungibility? I think price is a good indicator. It's very clear in the Bored Ape Yacht Club collection that price has a significant, rarity has a significant impact on price. And when I say significant impact, I mean that there can be a difference of a 10x difference between a rare ape and a floor ape, which is basically a very common ape. It's not rare at all. Now, if two NFTs within the same series can be valued at, one can be valued at $50,000 and one can be valued at $500,000, I would say that at least indicates some uniqueness and non-fungibility. Then what else could we look at? We can look at how they are treated, right? What benefits do they have? What are the linked features? And here it makes sense to look at how Yuga Labs, the owner of the collection, treats the holders of the tokens. And here I would say it's very clear that every holder is treated the same. They get the same possibility for mutants. They got the same ape token airdrop. Ape is Yuga Labs' native token. They get the same access to clubhouses, so they all get to go to Ape Fest in Hong Kong or Miami, and they all get to share the same roadmap. So here, it doesn't matter if you hold ape number 37 or ape number 9,995. You will still receive the same benefits. And now I think if we then put all these ingredients into a pot and then present this to a regulator, I am 99.9% certain that the regulator will look at this and say, yeah, but this is, at least according, when they review it in the eyes of the recital, they will say, this asset is not considered unique. It's not sufficiently non-fungible. On the contrary, it seems pretty fungible to me. And then what happens? Then the collection becomes a crypto asset subject to MiCA. And why I use the Bored Ape Yacht Club, as I said, they are the most successful one, and many NFT collections, at least most blue chips, have maybe copied is harsh, but they have mimicked to some extent this playbook. Here are 4 collections. We have Doodles, that's the first one, World of Women, Pudgy Penguins, and Moonbirds. All of these collections are also roughly 10,000 collections. They treat their holders the same. They give them the same benefits. They don't discriminate within the series. They give them the same airdrops. And because they are very similar to the Bored Ape Yacht Club in this sense, they are also likely to be crypto assets subject to MiCA. Now, Filippo raised a great question. Is this certain? No. I mean, the recital is the recital, of course. Guidance is still expected. But as I said, I'm very pessimistic that the guidance that is provided will change this outcome. And then the outcome is that the most high value NFT collections, at least currently in the NFT space, are likely to be crypto assets that are subject to MiCA. Now, why does that matter at all? Maybe it doesn't matter that you need to follow the rules, but I think that if you don't know, then yeah, it's going to be a harsh awakening for you, and especially I think it will also be a harsh awakening for NFT founders that are used to, you know, issuing NFTs pretty easily, right? There are of course some, we have seen some cases in the United States, maybe some here in Europe as well, that take the regulatory path, but otherwise it has been pretty easy to issue NFTs due to the gray zone, the regulatory gray zone, and also because people don't know how to treat them. But now offering of NFTs will need to follow strict rules, and these rules in MiCA, you know, I would say based on where we are now and where we will be when MiCA comes into effect, it's a day and night situation for most NFT founders. Similarly, the NFT trading platforms such as OpenSea and Blur, they will be crypto asset service providers, and this will have a huge impact on this NFT space as a whole. So for those of you who don't know, Blur and OpenSea, those are the primary markets where NFT trading happens. That's where the big volume is. Then there are many other projects that also have their own trading platforms, but OpenSea and Blur are commonly known as the two biggest ones. So what happens when the trading platforms becomes crypto asset service providers? Well, then we're talking a completely new rule book. We're talking about AML rules. We're talking rules about market abuse, which includes insider information, market manipulation. You know, we have marketing rules, how founders can market their offerings, consumer protection. And in that, for instance, I always laugh at the fact that the right of withdrawal will be applicable to some collections, and much more. And this will be a complete game changer for NFTs. And I think, unfortunately, that not many people are aware of this pending changes to the regulatory landscape. And some rules, I think, make sense. You know, maybe it's good that we have more consumer protection when it comes to NFTs, but some rules are also, I would say, pretty poorly fitted for the purpose of NFTs. And one of those, I think, is the rules about market abuse. And insider information I get, but market manipulation, I think I think that will be quite a bad fit for NFTs. And I will explain why, but first, maybe a quick reminder that, you know, according to MiCA, it will be prohibited to conduct activities that manipulate or distort the supply, demand, or price of crypto assets. And these activities include, you know, entering transactions, placing orders, disseminating false or misleading signals about the demand, supply, or price of crypto assets. Also, so this will be illegal activities, and CASPs, such as OpenSea and Blur, will have an obligation to prevent and detect this. Now, you might also wonder why I have chosen this picture next to the market abuse slide. And this is not a coincidence. This picture is the profile picture of a famous NFT collector and YouTuber, Hanwei Shang. And it's his Twitter profile picture or X profile picture. And there is an interesting story about him that I thought we can use an example. And Han-Wei Chang is one of, or probably even the one, or so to give you a little bit of background, the Blur trading platform incentivizes NFT traders to provide liquidity to the platform. So when you place bids on NFT collections, you earn points. And with those points, you get rewards later on when an airdrop is concluded. And Mr. Chang is one of the top 5 point earners on this platform, which means he provides a lot of liquidity to the platform. And he's very successful in doing it. And he's so successful in doing this that in early August this year, he noticed that there were bots that were copying his bidding strategy on the Blur trading platform. So when he went into a collection and placed a bid, a bot would shortly after follow and place a similar bid. And obviously they did this because they wanted to generate the same amount as points as Mr. Chang was doing, and they wanted to climb the leaderboard of who can get the most points. And now this is where it gets interesting. Because Mr. Chang, he created a cheeky scheme where when he noticed this, that there were people copying his bidding strategy, he decided to start purchasing certain Azuki NFTs with the same trait. And that trait was the same background color. So here I have 3 examples of Azuki NFTs, and they all have the same background color. So Mr. Stang started accumulating these NFTs. And then once he thought he had accumulated a sufficient amount, he decided himself to place a bid on these types of Azuki NFTs with this specific trait. The interesting part here is that normally this trait was a floor trait or a common trait. So the floor price would be around 5 Ethereum for these types of Azukis. But what he did was he placed a bid of 50 Ethereum per NFT. So 10x the price. And lo and behold, the bot that was following Mr. Chang saw this and immediately copied that bidding strategy and placed similar bids. And what did Mr. Chang do? He dumped all of his Azukis into the bot's bidding and earned 800 Ethereum doing it. So very, very clever case of player versus player. And he made 800 ETH doing it. Now, would this be allowed according to MiCA? Of course not. This is clear. This is clearly market manipulation. And you don't have to agree with me that this should be allowed. I mean, to some extent, I intellectually understand why this should be illegal. But I think that it's to some extent also unfortunate that these PvP elements will be eliminated from the NFT scene, where people can use the arbitrage and use people's own stupidity against them to earn or make good profit. But that's not primarily why I think maybe the market manipulation rules are a poor fit for NFTs, because on the second part of this screen here, yesterday I went into OpenSea and I said, I want to see how much I can buy an Azuki for. So then I went in and I saw that the floor price was at roughly 5.14 ETH for Azuki, for a common Azuki. But then I said, maybe I want to get a cool Azuki. So I started looking at traits, and I saw that there are spirit Azukis, which are the most rare Azukis. And the floor price for a spirit Azuki right now is 100,000 ETH. So it's a 20x difference. Now, rarity and differences I would say, makes it very difficult to assess what is market manipulation. And market manipulation is primarily, or is more suited, I would say, for fungible assets. And this is where the disconnect once again comes in. Because according to the recital, the Azuki collection is not a non-fungible collection, it's a fungible collection. And then we take the market manipulation rules and apply them as well. However, within this collection, this fungible collection, we have NFTs that are valued 20x difference in price. I don't think this will be a good fit. I think it will be super difficult to determine what is market manipulation. How do you explain to a regulator that you paid, instead of paying $5,000, you paid $100,000 just because one had another skin color? But you still get the same benefits, you still get the same access to clubhouses, you still get the same airdrops. So, you know, NFT collections are partially fungible, but also partially non-fungible. And I mean, there is a in the Azuki community, there's a DAO created just for Spirit DAO holders. But still, I mean, will we look at this when we determine what is market manipulation? And how do we look at it and determine when it is market manipulation and when it's not? So I think these questions are really difficult to assess. I think it will, and then only, I mean, then you have the participants, or the NFT collectors, that will be scrutinized and have to explain why they're doing what they're doing. And then you have the CASPs that are supposed to monitor this and decide what is market manipulation in this context, which will be really difficult. Now, I know I only had 20 minutes, so I apologize for going over that, but I just wanted to give an example of where I see some of the issues here of applying MiCA to the current NFT space as we know it. This is one of the many challenges ahead for the NFT space, but there are many more, and many more will probably follow as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Otherwise, if you want to take it in private, this is my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or Telegram, or shoot me an email. And yeah, Filippo, thank you so much again for inviting me. So happy to be here and be able to share some knowledge with all the other great Web3 lawyers.
Elvin, it was great. If you have an extra 2 minutes, I know you said we went a little over time, but I see Joanna has a question, and then I have one myself as well. So I line up and ask that after Joanna.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Filippo. I was just going to ask, because I can also contact Elvin separately for my questions, but I thought for the purpose of this webinar, it's actually nice to, have maybe an entertaining discussion between more members than just one-on-one. So I'll be short. I have 2 questions, but I'll be short. So first of all, thanks, Elvin, for this. I've been hearing lots of, discussions on MiCA and potential issues with MiCA, but I think this was the first time when I saw 2 practical examples with 2 different collections on what exactly could be the issue, right? Run an actual exercise and see exactly what points might come out. Now, I want to go back really shortly on the point how we differentiate between fungibility and non-fungibility of the tokens. And obviously, according to MiCA, we will look at it as being non-fungible based on the art, on the uniqueness of the art, and potentially being fungible if the same rights are attached to the token. Now, I'm part of an NFT community, and I'm holding various NFTs from 3 different series within the same NFT collection. And one interesting thing that I've noticed is that some of the NFTs have in the actual art some features or some rarities that give the holders certain rights. So, that puts you a little bit, I would say, out of the batch with everyone else that has all the rights, and give you certain access to certain events that are closed only for those holders. And this is strictly based on the actual art. So just as you gave the example with the background of the picture or other elements. Now, for that little part, can we actually speak of being non-fungible? And if that's the case, how we actually link that to the overall collection, because we're still speaking about the same NFT and the same, issuer of the NFTs and so on. I'm not sure if you came across something like this.
Yeah, I mean, this is great. And I think this is what I do for some of my clients. We try to legally engineer and find these types of solution. I think this is a great exercise. And I think this is a great point. Obviously, it will still have to be, on a case-to-case basis. And, you look at all aspects of the series. But for sure, I think, once again, this is something you could use to argue that the series is not fungible, because all of a sudden you have a subcategory within the series that are getting other rights. So you're not treating the entire series as a whole. You're treating some actually have unique rights compared to the other ones. And that is definitely something I think I would legally be able to argue and strengthen at least the argument that this is not that this is unique and not fungible.
But would that have to be a subcategory that will have quite a size in terms of the rest? Because imagine if you have a collection of 5,000 items and only 4 of them have these rights, right? The unique rights. Then what about the rest? It's quite a big disproportion there to still make that case. So ideally, maybe you will only want to deal with subcategories and their numbers to still be quite proportional, right? But I think, this comes back to the design. But actually, this was designed way before MiCA in this way. So, quite interesting. My second question is, have you come across yet, or maybe, I don't know, you did some research on any project that you think will not be affected by the current wording of MiCA? Because from what I see and from looking at all the collections, they will all fall under the MiCA. And obviously this is still subject to the guidance. I don't want to say that the interpretation is already set at this point, but I'm just curious, right? So I'm not talking about new NFTs. I'm talking about older collections that are already out there in the market.
It's difficult to say. I mean, the ones that I have come across, and I think this is excellent, but the ones I have come across are maybe art collections, purely art collections, and where there is clear that it's actually the art preference. There are no other features attached. There are no benefits, it's just about art. And we can see in the price that people are willing to pay much more for the actual art piece that they like, rather than just owning one of the collection. So in those cases, I think also we could legally argue that this is actually digital art and not, a token that is a ERC 721 token, but then fungible in other regards. But yeah.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you very much again. Very interesting.
Thank you.
Elvin, do I have time for my question, or you have to go?
No, absolutely. I have time.
Okay. When you were speaking about CASPs and the consequences of having a collection that actually falls under MiCA, I was wondering, what do you think that would be the reaction? Can we try to have a CASP that filters out, NFTs that do fall under MiCA and only, treat non-MiCA NFTs? Or you think it's so risky that everyone will have to comply with MiCA?
I think this will come down to audience and volume, right? If you're gonna exclude MiCA collections, you're basically excluding the biggest, the most traded, high volume collections, and then you have a huge business issue, right? Maybe if your trading platform is only solely focused on art, and you have your in-house legal counsels that do an assessment of the collection, that could be fine. For instance, like an art blocks trading platform, maybe that would be could be, only accepting true fungible assets. Maybe that could be something. But if we look at the monetary value, it wouldn't make sense for most trading platforms to exclude the MiCA, the collection subject to MiCA.
I see. I guess that the collections could adapt, as you were saying, legally engineer in a way that they're not part of MiCA. But yeah, I definitely see your point. Well, I mean, this was great. Unless there's any other question, I think we can free you up well beyond the initial deadline. And thank you very much for your time and for a brilliant presentation. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. And yeah, if you ever have any questions or think of something, feel free to reach out. I am a nerd in the end, so I like to talk about stuff.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Yeah.
Soon.
Everyone. Bye-bye.